Hello everyone, welcome back and welcome to this video where I will guide you through the process of completing your final project on a comparative performance analysis of two stocks tickers. So this project is an excellent opportunity to apply your financial and business knowledge in a real-world context. And I believe it will sharpen your analytical skills as you evaluate companies and their market positions. So in this video, we'll be covering four main parts: an overview of the companies, an industry overview, a detailed fundamental analysis of the stocks, and a quantitative model using the discounted cash flow method. Each section is crucial in understanding how to assess a company's value and predict its future performance. So please stay highly focused. Let's start with part 1, the company overview. This section is where you lay the foundation for your analysis by providing a comprehensive background on the two companies you have selected. First, we will look into the history of each company. Where were they founded, and under what circumstances? What were some of the key milestones that marked their journey? For example, major product launches, mergers, or expansions. This historical perspective is really important because it helps you and your audience understand how the companies have evolved and adapted over time. Next, we also need to focus on the leadership. The people steering the ship can significantly influence a company trajectory. So, conducting a research on the current CEO and key executives is a must. What is their background? What strategic initiatives have they implemented? Have there been recent changes in leadership? And if so, how might this impact the company future? Also, don't forget to explore the company organizational structure and culture. What is the company culture like? Is the company decentralized or centralized? A company's internal dynamics can often reflect its overall stability and innovation capacity. And finally, we also provide an overview of their operations. What are their main products or services? In which geographic regions do they operate? How diversified? How diversified are their revenue streams? This section should give your audience a solid understanding of what these companies do and how they have positioned themselves in the market. Now let's move on to part 2, the industry overview. My suggestion is that you guys should limit it in 2 pages only. And this is where you zoom out from the individual companies and take a broader look at the industry in which they operate. So start by defining the industry. What are its key characteristics? Is it a fast-growing industry or more mature? Who are the major players? And how is the market segmented? Understanding the industry dynamics is super crucial because it sets the stage for evaluating how well the companies are performing within this context. Next, we discuss the market share. How much of the market do these companies control? Use the latest data available to compare the market positions. Are they leaders, challengers, or niche players? How has their market share evolved over years? This will help you assess the competitive strength. Then, you also need to analyze the competitive landscape. Who are the direct competitors? Are there new entrants disrupting the market? Here, you can consider using the Porter's 5 Forces framework. It helps us to analyze the threat of new entrants, the bargaining power of suppliers and customers, the threat of substitutes, and the intensity of competitive rivalry. So I think that if we understand this factor, it will help you evaluate the sustainability of the company's market position. And at the same time, you should also consider any kind of regulatory or political factors affecting the industry. How are they navigating these challenges? And additionally, explore any kind of emerging trends in the industry. Are there technology advancement or shift in the customer behavior that could impact future growth? I think the industry overview is critical in understanding the external environment in which the companies operate, which can heavily influence their future success. In part 3, we dive into the fundamental analysis for stock valuation. This section is about assessing the intrinsic value of the companies by analyzing their financial health and business prospects. So, we shall start with the macroeconomic overview. What is the current state of the economy? Consider factors, for example, like interest rate, GDP, employment levels, GDP growth. How are these macroeconomic factors impacting the industry and the companies you are analyzing? For example, if interest rate rising, it could increase the company's borrowing cost, which might affect their profitability. Then we move on to the business models. How do they make money? What are their primary revenue streams? Are these streams diversified or do they rely heavily on one product or service? We all know that a diversified business model often suggests stability, while a more focused model could indicate vulnerability to market changes or volatility. Next, assess the financial statement. Begin with the income statement. What is the company revenue growth rate? How profitable are they? We look at the operating margins, the net margins, but more important, the EBITDA, earning before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization, to understand the efficiency and profitability. Also, we take a look at the balance sheet. It will tell you about the company's financial stability, what are their assets, liabilities, and equity. How leveraged are they? Key ratios like the debt to equity ratio and the current ratio will help you evaluate their financial risk. Finally, analyze the cash flow statement. Is the company generating positive cash flow from its operations? Cash flow is often considered a more accurate reflection of financial health than net income because it shows the actual money flowing in and out of the business. And after reviewing these financial, consider the key valuation ratios like price to earning ratio or the earning per share, price to book, or even return on equity. Compare these ratios to industry averages and to the other companies you are analyzing. This will help you determine if the stock is overvalued, undervalued, or fairly priced. And also, don't forget to consider qualitative factors. For example, the company's brand value, intellectual property, goodwill, any recent strategic initiative like acquisition or new products launches. These can significantly influence a company's long-term value. And part 4 is optional for any who want to achieve the highest grade in this project. So here is the quantitative model where we use the discounted cash flow method to estimate the future value of this stock. So begin by projecting the company's future cash flow. This involves making assumptions about the revenue growth, the operating margins, and the capital expenditures. We may need to use the historical data as a basis, but adjust for any changes in the industry or the company's strategies. Then we have to determine the discount rate, which is crucial in DCF analysis. This rate reflects the risks associated with the investment and is often based on the company's weighted average cost of capital that we have already studied in Chapter 12. Alternatively, you might use a required rate of return that reflects your risk tolerance. And once you have your projected cash flow and discount rate, you can calculate their present value. All these cash flow. This involves discounting the future cash flow back to their present value, the NPV. which accounts for the time value of money. So, summing up the present value of all future cash flow gives you the estimated intrinsic value of the company's stock. Compare this intrinsic value to the current market price. If the intrinsic value is higher than the market price, the stock might be undervalued and a potential buy or a potential long. If it is lower, the stock might be overvalued. So why the DCF model is a powerful tool? Remember that its accuracy is totally depends on the assumption you make. Therefore, it's essential to justify your assumption and consider running the sensitivity analysis to see how changes in your assumptions might affect the stock valuation. Additionally, you can compare your DCF model with other methods like dividend discount model or the comparable company analysis or even the multiple analysis to see if your results align with other valuation approaches. As you all can see, right now on the screen is an example of a final project that I used to do in my second year. The front page must including the title, the name of our school, maybe the professor name or the course name with the group member student ID. And in the part 1, we have the company's overview. We quickly walk through the founding and the history. Then I make a table to highlight all the key milestones and events. Second part of part 1 is the leadership. I examine the executive team, take a look at the title. On to the second part is the industry and market position. I quickly take a look at the industry overview. I decide what is the market share of each company in the industry by collecting data from different sources. For example, here, in order to find out the market share of VinFast company, I use a source called PRN Newswire and Counterpoint. And for Tesla, I use Statista. So here in this specific project, I got a problem because I couldn't find where's the data available for the market share of VinFast. Therefore, I was calculating on my own using the companies that I have designed over here. So market share equal to the total market sales or revenue company sales revenue times 100. Next is the competitive landscape. Just very brief and short, easy to understand. For example, in the electric vehicle industry, there will be electric vehicle companies like Tesla, Nissan, BYD, and also traditional automakers. They're gonna be the emerging industry player. Next is the financial comparison of VinFast Auto Ltd and Tesla. Here, I also created a table including different index, for example, market capitalization, revenue, gross profit, profit margin, EPS, return on equity, return on assets, and the price to earning. Just a reminder, most of the number you got on Yahoo Finance will be stated as TTM. TTM stand for trailing 12 months, which means they are the number that have been updated the last 12 months only. In the fourth part, I have the qualitative fundamental. I quickly look at the macroeconomic condition. Since I understand that the US market have a high influence on every other country, so I was focusing more on the US side. Then I also examine the business model in order to understand how are these businesses make money. On to the next part, I use two methods in order to decide whether the stock price is overvalued or undervalued. But my suggestion is you guys stay focused on the discounted cash flow valuation, where we're going to use this formula. And there are 5 steps. So step 1 will be selecting a company and project the free cash flow for the next 5 years. Compute the weighted average cost of capital. Calculate the continuing value beyond the forecast period. Apply the discounted cash flow model to estimate the equity value per share. And we compare with the current market price. So here are the step-by-step. I have the projected cash flow from 2023 to 2029 after. Then I have the cost of debt, the cost of equity, and I compute the WACC. Then I also calculate the terminal value, the present value of the forecast cash flow, and fair value of the stock. Also, I compare the stock price with the fair value on Yahoo Finance, and I found out that the stock is overstated 319%. And the last part is conclusion. And of course, don't forget to put a reference at the end. So this is an example of a final project. I hope you guys doing well. And this is also my last word, my final word for this course. Thank you very much having been through everything with me from the beginning until now. Thanks, and we will meet each other again soon.